What if a secret pact could reshape the Catholic Church? What if that pact was signed by Pope Francis himself? This is not the stuff of Dan Brown novels. This is the reality we may be facing. A reality shrouded in whispers and speculation. The weight of 2,000 years of history hangs in the balance. Pope Francis, the people's pope, is no stranger to controversy. His papacy has been marked by a willingness to confront difficult issues, from climate change to income inequality. But this rumored deal, struck in the shadows of the Vatican, could be his most consequential act yet. The details are murky, shrouded in secrecy. Some say it involves financial matters, a bid to shore up the Vatican's often criticized finances. Others whisper of a geopolitical agreement, a realignment of the Church on the world stage. The truth, as always, is elusive. One thing is certain, the stakes are incredibly high. The fate of the Catholic Church, with its 1.3 billion members, hangs in the balance. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the man who would become Pope Francis, was born into a world far removed from the gilded halls of the Vatican. He grew up in Buenos Aires, Argentina, the son of Italian immigrants. He worked as a chemist, a nightclub bouncer, even a janitor before joining the Jesuit order. These humble beginnings shaped his papacy. Francis has emphasized compassion, humility, and a commitment to the poor and marginalized. He has washed the feet of prisoners, embraced the homeless, and challenged the world's powerful to do more to address inequality. This is a pope who understands the struggles of ordinary people. He is a man of deep faith, but also of pragmatism. He knows that the Church must adapt to survive in the 21st century. But is he also a man capable of making a deal that could shake the very foundations of the Church he leads? The Vatican is a place of secrets. For centuries, its corridors have echoed with the hushed conversations of popes and cardinals plotting the course of the Church. It is a place where power is wielded subtly, where influence is currency. The rumors of Pope Francis's secret deal have been circulating for months, passed from one trusted source to another in hushed tones. No one seems to know the full details, but everyone agrees. Something big is happening. Some say the deal was struck with a powerful government, perhaps China or Russia. Others believe it involves a wealthy individual or organization, seeking to exert influence over the Church. Still others whisper of a deal with a faction within the Church itself, a bid to consolidate power or push through a controversial agenda. The Vatican, as always, remains tight-lipped. Spokespersons deny any knowledge of a deal, dismissing the rumors as unfounded speculation. But the denials ring hollow. The whispers persist. The Catholic Church has a long and complicated history with power. For centuries, popes ruled over vast territories, wielding both spiritual and temporal authority. They made and broke treaties, forged alliances, and waged wars. In the 20th century, the Vatican's power waned, but its influence remained, particularly in the realm of international diplomacy. The Church played a key role in the fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. But the Vatican has also been accused of making deals with dictators and turning a blind eye to human rights abuses. The Lateran Treaty with Mussolini's Italy in 1929, which granted the Vatican City statehood, is a case in point. The Church's history is littered with such agreements, some beneficial, others deeply problematic. Pope Francis's rumored deal, if it exists, would be the latest chapter in this long and complex story. The stakes for St. Peter's throne. The potential consequences of Pope Francis's alleged deal are enormous. The Catholic Church is not just a religious institution, it is a global player with vast resources and influence. Any agreement that reshapes the Church's relationship with the world will have far-reaching implications. For the Vatican itself, the stakes are particularly high. The Church is facing a number of challenges, from declining attendance in the West to growing secularism. It is also grappling with the fallout from the sex abuse scandal, which has eroded trust in the institution and cost it billions of dollars. A secret deal, if it backfires, could further damage the Church's reputation and undermine its authority. It could also exacerbate divisions within the Church, between those who support Pope Francis's reformist agenda and those who believe he is going too far, too fast. The future of the Catholic Church may very well hinge on the outcome of this shadowy agreement. Ripples across the globe. The Catholic Church is a global institution with over 1.3 billion members worldwide. This vast network spans continents, cultures, and languages, making it one of the most influential organizations in human history. Any significant change in church doctrine or policy is bound to have ripple effects across the globe. These changes can influence not just religious practices, but also social, political, and cultural landscapes in various countries. In some parts of the world, particularly in the developing world, the Church is growing rapidly. This growth is most evident in regions like Africa, where the number of faithful continues to rise. In Africa, for example, Catholicism is thriving. The Church's influence extends beyond spiritual guidance, impacting education, healthcare, and community development. A deal that strengthens the Church's position on the world stage could lead to further growth in these regions. Such agreements can bolster the Church's ability to support its missions and expand its reach. But in other parts of the world, particularly in Europe and North America, the Church is facing declining attendance and growing secularism. These regions are experiencing a shift towards more secular values and away from traditional religious practices. A deal that is seen as too accommodating to secular powers could alienate some Catholics in these regions. This could lead to further divisions within the Church as members struggle to reconcile modernity with tradition. The reaction to Pope Francis's rumored deal is likely to be mixed, reflecting the diversity of the global Catholic community. Different cultures and communities within the Church may have varying perspectives on the implications of such a deal. Some will welcome the deal as a necessary step to modernize the Church and make it more relevant to the 21st century. They see it as an opportunity to address contemporary issues and connect with younger generations. Others will view it with suspicion, fearing that it compromises the Church's values or undermines its moral authority. This tension highlights the ongoing struggle within the Church to balance tradition with progress. The Pontiff's purpose. What motivated Pope Francis to make this alleged deal? What were the driving forces behind such a significant and controversial decision? What did he hope to achieve? Was it a strategic move to safeguard the Church's influence, or was there a deeper, more personal reason? These are questions that have been swirling through the minds of Vatican watchers ever since the first rumors of the agreement surfaced. The speculation has been intense, with various theories being proposed. Some believe that Francis, ever the pragmatist, is simply trying to secure the Church's future in an increasingly secular world. They argue that he is willing to make concessions on certain issues in order to protect the Church's core values and ensure its survival. They argue that he is willing to make concessions on certain issues in order to protect the Church's core values and ensure its survival. This perspective sees Francis as a leader who is not afraid to adapt and evolve in the face of modern challenges. Others see the deal as part of Francis's broader reformist agenda. They point to his efforts to make the Church more inclusive and welcoming, as well as his outspokenness on issues like climate change and income inequality. They point to his efforts to make the Church more inclusive and welcoming, breaking down barriers that have long existed within the institution, as well as his outspokenness on issues like climate change and income inequality. His commitment to these causes has earned him both praise and criticism. For these observers, the deal is a sign that Francis is serious about shaking up the status quo and bringing the Church into the 21st century. They see him as a transformative figure, unafraid to challenge long-standing traditions. Still others believe that Francis's motivations are more personal. They point to his deep concern for the poor and marginalized and his belief that the Church has a moral obligation to help those in need. They point to his deep concern for the poor and marginalized and his belief that the Church has a moral obligation to help those in need. This perspective highlights his compassionate nature and dedication to social justice, and his belief that the Church has a moral obligation to help those in need. For these observers, the deal is a way for Francis to leverage the Church's power and influence to make a real difference in the world. For these observers, the deal is a way for Francis to leverage the Church's power and influence to make a real difference in the world. They see it as a bold move to align the Church's actions with its teachings. Whatever his motivations, there is no doubt that Pope Francis is a complex and enigmatic figure. His decision to make this alleged deal, if it is indeed true, is just the latest example of his willingness to challenge convention and chart a new course for the Catholic Church. His decision to make this alleged deal, if it is indeed true, is just the latest example of his willingness to challenge convention and chart a new course for the Catholic Church. It remains to be seen what the long-term impact of this decision will be, but one thing is certain. Pope Francis is a leader who is not afraid to take risks in pursuit of his vision for the Church. A church divided? The Catholic Church has always been a diverse and sometimes fractious institution, with a rich history of debate and differing opinions among its followers and leaders. But the rumored deal struck by Pope Francis has the potential to create even deeper divisions within the Church, sparking intense discussions and debates among the faithful. On one side are those who support the Pope's decision, seeing it as a necessary step forward. They argue that the deal, whatever its specific details, is necessary to ensure the Church's survival in the 21st century, adapting to modern challenges and societal changes. They point to the many challenges facing the Church, from declining attendance to the sex abuse scandal, and argue that bold action is needed to address these issues, believing that the Pope's approach could bring much-needed reform. On the other side are those who believe that the Pope has gone too far, fearing the consequences of such a deal. They argue that the deal compromises the Church's values and undermines its moral authority, potentially leading to a loss of identity. They fear that the Pope is sacrificing the Church's soul in a misguided attempt to make it more palatable to the secular world, which could alienate the core believers. The debate over the deal has already begun to play out in the Catholic media, with some publications praising the Pope's courage and vision, highlighting the potential for positive change, while others accuse him of betraying the Church's teachings, warning of the dangers of straying too far from tradition. It remains to be seen how this division will play out in the long term, as both sides continue to voice their strong opinions and concerns, but it has the potential to have a significant impact on the future of the Catholic Church, shaping its direction for years to come. A legacy in the balance. History will judge whether Pope Francis's rumored deal was a stroke of genius or a grave error in judgment. Only time will tell whether it strengthens the Catholic Church or hastens its decline. One thing is certain: this is a pivotal moment in the long and storied history of the Catholic Church. The decisions made today will have repercussions for generations to come. Will Pope Francis be remembered as the reformer who saved the Church from itself, or the pragmatist who sold its soul for a mess of pottage? The answer to that question may very well determine the fate of the Catholic Church in the 21st century. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more updates and intriguing content.